up two CANblue-II devices in a bridge mode so that the CAN network can be completed across the wireless bridge, and the customer can transmit and receive CAN messages across Bluetooth without using a computer later on, just on the CAN network. So what we have as components here is mainly a power supply, which is the power supply there, which is just a 24 volts power supply that we have provided there. The CANblue device, which is the blue color device, which is over here, and we've got a power and ground connected there to the CANblue device. You can remove the CAN network if you want. I mean, you don't need the CAN network to be shown at this moment, which is okay. So we have just the CANblue device without any wired connection to the computer. So there is nothing connected. At the moment it's giving us a red LED. So what we're going to do is we're going to pair this device with the laptop. So what we're going to do is go into the device, add device in this, and scan for the devices. Once we do that, it will come up with the device which shows there as basically a network infrastructure device, and it will, once it's completed discovering it, it will then let you to connect it to it, so which will take a little bit of time, and it's now installing all the drivers and everything necessary for it. If possible, disable Windows update of the drivers so that you don't need to keep on updating and you spend a lot of time on just updating it. It's now all the, so we are disabling all the updates, so it's just connecting it straight away, and once it's all done, just a point where before you do this, you need to remember that we need to install a VCI driver suite before we start using this computer, so that these drivers are available. Then otherwise you don't know where to install the drivers from. So you need VCI drivers, which we will supply along with the device. Now let's go on to the next step. He is going to look at the properties of this CANblue device, from which we find out the port which we are going to use to configure the CANblue device. It is now telling us that the two ports are, what is it, 37 and 42. Okay, so we are using serial port for communication, but when we say serial port, we are using Bluetooth to serial port actually. So we are not going to use a serial device. It's a Bluetooth to serial port protocol called the SPP. Config. We need to go for the config port, which is port number 37. Once we identify the port number 37, then we go into the computer, the start program, and look for hyper terminal, the good old hyper terminal with which we used to configure a lot of devices. Just put hyper. Yeah, that's the one. No, the one above, I think hyper term. Yeah, that's the one. No, below that, not dealer. Yeah, that's the one. So now we just call it by some name so that the hyper term starts up. Call it CB whatever, and identify the port, which is port number 37 in this case. Say OK. It will ask you which what is the baud rate. It is 921,600 baud rate, and all of them are default, which is none one hardware, and say apply and say OK to it. Once you've done that, it will try to communicate and establish communication, but in the meantime you need to go into the start and then make sure that the ASCII characters are available for us to, it will only be available once we echo the screen. So we tick all the boxes there by looking at the properties, tick all the boxes. With that we should be able to see the characters. Now if you do a C config show, enter, should show us the configuration which is coming from the Bluetooth device. This communication incidentally is happening only purely by Bluetooth. So it's in default mode now. In default mode now, what we'll do is we will start up the second device also. We'll actually switch on the second Bluetooth device. Wait a second. Yeah. I'm going to switch it on so that when we set up the device here, we are going to be able to identify the MAC ID through that. So for this device to be detected, it has to be also on the default mode. Now, we have switched it on. Now it's going to set up some of the basic parameters, which is now C CAN init, make it 250. CAN underscore init 250. Yeah, enter. Okay, then CAN C auto start on. Auto start on is required so that the devices start to bridge handshake with each other automatically. And what is it? Yeah, yeah, okay, auto start. Now D MAC add is going to add the MAC ID of the second device to the first device. So it's basically calling it 60, which is the address of the second device. Hit enter. Yeah, and add it. Now C config show. Enter. So, see, now when you look at it, it actually shows you that you got the second device has been identified straight. That's why we wanted to make sure that the device is actually switched on. It's identified, it's showing as a binary. It is essential that it is showing as binary and not as off. If you see it as off, you'll be spending the whole day trying to configure it. You should see it as binary, for which both the devices must be on, and the first device is able to ping the second device and put it into its MAC ID. Once we have done that, we can do C config show, save, config save, which is going to save the configuration, and that's basically it. And now you can do a C config show and make sure that it is 250 KB baud rate and so on.
It's not,
And
yep, saved.
yeah. So now try C config show. Yeah. Enter.
Yep.
So you got everything there, right from 250 KB, auto start on, the the MAC ID is included there, and so everything is ready now. So when we start it up the next time, it is ready to pair with the second device and start off as said in a bridge mode. So can we please save that file?
Yeah.
Just save it as a C60 file somewhere. And so for future reference. Once that is saved, now we can.
You also want me to save in Notepad?
Sorry?
Do you want me to save in Notepad too? Or?
In yeah, save it as a text file. Notepad. Yeah. You can leave it on also if you want, and then save it as. Make it as C60 250 because we are sending it at 250 KB now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That part is done, so we saved that for future reference. And once we closed it, so you can now disconnect it, the hyperterminal, and we are now done with the first device. So now we can close it, and what you can do now is switch. You want to remove the first device from the So we are now uncoupling the first device from the Bluetooth pair from this computer, and we'll be going on to pair the second device. It's not entirely essential that we need to uncouple it, but
Yeah,
it's better that we couple, because otherwise both the devices will try to
connect.
fight for access to this computer, and you may have that one of them doesn't work properly.
You can pause it for a few seconds.
So what you can do now, you can switch off this device for a short moment before you go on to the second device. So you switch off the first device. Now you can, once you closed it, yeah, you can close this now. You try to add device now.
It's still there, it's not uninstalled.
Hmm?
The previous one is still there.
It's still there, but what about the first?
It's recognized the second device.
Yeah. Next. Okay. So it's now going to be installing all the drivers. You can go into it and make sure that it doesn't keep updating the drivers. Disable update of the drivers and say yes, so that it will complete it faster. Yeah. Once it's done, go to that and find out the port that it's going to use for the hyperterminal from the properties.
And 46.
It's got config SPPP is 44, is it?
44.
Yeah, okay. Now let us switch on the second Bluetooth device also. This one?
Yes.
So
Now,
go to the hyperterminal. Call it by some name and make sure that the correct port is selected, which is port number 44, and make sure that it is set to 921,600 and all the boxes are default. Yes, okay. You can connect it if you want now.
which connector?
Connect it. Now go to the, make sure that the characters can be echoed by going to this file, properties, and then go into the ASCII mode and make sure that all the boxes are ticked. Don't leave any boxes unticked. Say OK. OK. So now you should be able to see what's happening on the device. See config show. It should now show you all the default conditions of the device, which is 1000 KB and so on. And the auto start is off. So now you need to do the same thing for the second device. $250. Enter. Okay. Auto start is on. Because the MAC ID is already there, I think it's try that MAC add. Wrong MAC. You missed one. You missed one more. So do you want to go back to default setting and then start again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Settings _ default. Enter. Okay. Now see config show. Okay. That's okay. It's showing it's connected. Make it auto start on, then it will become okay. After that we try it out. Init 250. Enter. See auto start on. Enter. See config. Save. Enter. See config show.
I think we should get rid of the drivers for that one.
For the first one.
Completely then. Just pause it.
So now, once we have done the power cycling, which is we just switched on the power on and off once before, it comes to a condition where it says the second pair unit is actually binary and the state is connected. So you're going to save this basic configuration settings also as a C74250 to make sure that we have a record of this. Ready for? Once you saved it, saving is just for the sake of records.
That's all right. Yeah, well, they do that pretty regularly, don't they, you know?
That's all, yeah?
Yeah. Now we can, for testing that they both working on 250 kb baud rate,
It does.
we can have another computer now set up for communicating with this.
Straight away.
So what we are going to do now is to show you that basically we have both the CAN devices paired, and we're going to set up and test that they are actually able to send and receive messages at 250 kb. The device that we are using to communicate with this now is, this is the CAN network. So this is the CAN network that is going across from this, from the Bluetooth to this point. And there is a second CAN network going from the second Bluetooth device to that computer. So the need for this device, USB to CAN, is just to see what is going on in the CAN network. It is not meant to be a part of the bridge at all. So we have two devices which are really not connected together through wires. And once we have got it communicating, what we need to do now is we have now identified the two devices, the USB to CAN device here, and I'm going to now configure that to options, configuration, set it to 250 baud rate, which is what we set the other one to, and we are now going to make the CAN network active. We made it active now. Once we have done that, let me increase the screen size, and they both at 250 kb, is it?
Yes.
Once they both at 250 kb, we can now show there are two computers here. There are two computers here. They both connected to each other's individual CANblue devices. So I'm going to send messages from one computer's CAN interface to the next one, and let us see that if that is going to work. So you can see that it is not switched on yet. Go to green. Go to green. Yep. Okay. So you can see that the message that I'm sending here are coming across on the other side. So that is a proof that this device, the two devices are now connected as a pair, bridge pair. So message from one is coming on the other one. Try to do it from that side now. and if you try to transmit this message, it should start to come on. So you can see that messages are coming on the other side. We can actually simulate this through a CAN analyzer and show you that messages are continuously streaming across to the other side, and so on. So basically, the bridge pair is now working. That's the my suggestion is that strongly, if you have one of these USB to CAN devices which shares the same driver, it will be easier for you to send and receive and test that everything is okay. You may want to do this because every time you want to connect it to a CAN network and prove that the Bluetooth is set up properly, you may not know, and it's a very, very good tool to confirm that you got it all set up properly, and we strongly recommend that. So this is basically the end of the demonstration here. Thank you.
You've got the start and stop
Yep.
in there, and you've got the increase and decrease speed.
Yep.
So what happens is you press the start, you will see up here that the output has increased. If I press stop, that'll go down to 0. Do start again, and that's gone to 133,000, which is 133 milliamps in this case. Actually, there's a bit more. I'll just increase the screen a little bit. Yep. Alright, so now that we've got that, if we come back to the display, supposedly after you've done that you will see a speed increase down below on the actual speed, right there. Because at this point in time the valve would be running the hydraulic pump, which would be running the conveyor belt. And so you can increase and decrease, you can stop here, and when you stop it, that goes back to 0. If you start it and you find yourself you don't have enough speed, you can increase it, and it will actually increase. Yeah.
So that current value shown there is increasing there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, and it will do so. Is it still increasing? 140, yes.
It's going to 140.
Yep. We will need to work with the step value of that eventually.
Right now it's not increasing anymore.
It's going up and down accordingly.
Yeah, yeah, correct. You're pushing.
Yes, you'll need to push it slowly, that's right.
Yeah.
It doesn't respond well to being pushed quickly. I think 140 might actually be as far as we can go with it. Because
The way it is set up right now.
that's right, yeah. So you can see it decreasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 140 is the maximum it'll go up to, which is equivalent to 60 meters per minute.
Yeah, that's the way we have set up in the setup page.
Yep. And again, if you exit this screen
Yeah.
without actually stopping,
Yeah.
it will the valve will ramp down to 0.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. So basically, what we're going to deliver to the customer is basically this panel which you see here, which has got the operator interface, the 2 jog buttons up and down, and with the detinted stop run button.
So it was one other thing. There's a jog mode also.
There's a jog mode. Yeah.
The jog mode only works in the when you're in the welcome screen. If you're not in the welcome screen, it won't work.
Yeah.
And again, you just the motor has to be on.
Yeah.
You jog forward, and it will jog forward, and you can see it jogging forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you jog backwards, and you'll see it jogging backwards.
Yeah. Is this jog allowed at any condition, or is it a maintenance condition or something like that?
It's just maintenance, and it's only in the welcome screen.
Okay.
In reality, we should have a third screen for jog mode. You go into that screen, there'll be nothing, no displays here, and you'll only be allowed to use those in that screen only.
Okay. Yeah.
But at this point in time, as a proof of concept, we've only given it to them in the welcome screen.
In the welcome screen.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. It's just a proof of concept, as I said. Yeah. Okay. So I think that should cover the lot. So in this instance, we are supplying the control panel, which is basically got this operating interface and the 2 switches and the D plus and the main switch, on-off switch. You have the walk and off encoder, which is this one.
Yep.
That's been set up to be driven by a drill just for the sake of measurements and simulation of the test right now. And the ESXi-XP, which has got a amp latched connector, which has got a way of particularly working with the latch being taken out, so the connector can be taken out. So that's basically, and the wiring has been done. Basically, it's a test wiring. The customer can integrate it with their system, and it's fully tested at this stage. So we'll leave it at that and check it from there.